All right, you guys, I need your help. I'm a little back and forth on this one. It looks just like a pump and dump. Ooh, does it? Kona Gold Beverage Inc. I had to do a little bit more research. Perhaps this is their history. Boom, 5 year chart. Um, reason I think it looks like a pump and dump. Oh, they sell hemp infused energy drinks. When I heard that, my first thought was that's dumb. Um, They just set a world record for their company after all these years. $500,000 worth of energy drinks in 1 month for January of 2023. Um, it looks like they issued 1.5 billion shares. Actually, extraordinary. When it IPO'd, it looks like it was worth a penny or a half a penny. All of a sudden, some news articles started flying out, and this thing got up to 10 cents. And it jumped around. It low 15 cents. We're moving. Then people were like, okay, they're not really selling any energy drinks. It doesn't seem like any money's coming in. So down, down, down she goes, and down, down, down she goes, and down, down, down she goes. I don't know. Maybe at this point, maybe they started feeling guilty, and they just they decided to try to produce some energy drinks. Their world record was January of 2023. They just pulled it off. The stock's at a half a cent. The world doesn't care that they set this record. Um, but 500,000 cans. This is a company in Melbourne, Florida. They have 21 employees. They seem to all be executives, where 4 of them are executives and 17 of them are probably secretaries and assistants and chauffeurs and back massagers. I don't know what they are or what they do all day long. They don't have a bottling room. They have a bottler in South Carolina that they use. They make the hemp infused energy drinks in those big cans, and then they sign distribution agreements with any over and over and over again. They might be with the same people. I have no idea how many different distributors they need and why they need a different one for every state of the union. I have no idea. I think distributors, some of them would be national distributors. It's not something you need 200 press releases for. Oh, but after they sign a distribution agreement, they will issue a press release and tell you all about it. You'll actually think that they're going to start selling some product, but apparently not really. None of them really pan out to any moved product um, that's notable. 500. I've come to the math. They do about 5,000 in their world record, January of 2023. They finally got this sucker up to 5,000 cans a day of this energy drink. And that's just ordering it from the bottler. Probably costs a few dollars to do it, I would imagine. A couple of dollars, $3. They're not squeaking them out at cost. They don't have their own bottling room. They don't have their own bottlers. You just send the label over there and let them do it for them. Yeah, so pretty much they just act like executives all day, hang out, be cool, collect big bucks. They sold 1.5 billion shares. That's probably what they were busy doing for the first few years. It doesn't look like any of this panned out to a sale. At this point, I think people were probably just completely enraged. Years had gone by, and this company still wasn't doing anything. Hardly any product at all being sold, and no interest in selling, just none. Um, Signing just everything they did resulted in no sales. Maybe it's the worst product in the world, or maybe they weren't trying. Tommy Boy would have saved the company. I'm pretty sure if they would have sent him on the road, he would have gotten Kona Gold on some shelves. Somebody would have tried it at least. They would have gotten a sale, even if it tastes terrible. They'd say, "Oh my God, it has hemp in it. Get that one." So maybe, I don't know. Let's take a look at their numbers real quick. I think they're done almost. They got $700,000 left. Um, they, yeah, they're net profit every month and quarter and year was off the charts, horrible. I think they got a couple of weeks to a month left. We'll take a look. All right, Kona Gold's annual income statement 2021. $7 million was a loss. They lost $7 million in 2021. In 2021, they brought in $2.48 million for the entire year. That's hardly anything. I was talking about 5,000 cans a day. I don't know what the math is on this. 2.48 million for the year. But yeah, that might be like a couple of hundred cans a day, maybe. They could have hired one kid who probably could have done that in the back room, but they wanted to go with a bottler, of course. This entire year was 2020. They sold a whopping $110,000 worth of product in a year. That's in a year. They were doing $8,000 a month. Wow, that's incredible. And that's a couple of years after they started taking investor money. They didn't look like they had an interest. 1.63 million for the year. So at January's pace of $500,000 a month, that's $6 million a year. That would be a notable improvement in revenue. Seems like the more revenue they do, the more they lose. This little boost in revenue cost them $7 million for the year. Cost them probably $15 a can to buy a $5 can and sell it, and then collect the dollar profit. And then this just doesn't even make sense. There's nothing going on here. It just seems like they're selling their product for cost almost, or their offices are really big, or their salaries are too big. Could be a lot of things. Let's check out the balance sheet. This I find quite disturbing. After collecting millions and probably somewhere between 20 and 150 million dollars worth of investor cash from the IPO, they went out and ran up their credit cards. This is assets in blue, liabilities in yellow. 2021, they were up to $7 million on their credit cards, twice as much as their assets. I don't know what kind of assets a company like this would have. I think they're just a tiny office. Maybe it's their desk. Maybe it's a computer. Maybe it's privately labeled cans that they had to buy a bunch of from China and ship to their distributor. Probably are not assets that could pay off the liabilities. They don't have $7 million. They have $700,000 cash. 703. Yeah, I don't see them. That's about a month's worth of money for them. Unless they just stop paying themselves, they make a little sacrifice. No, they're just gonna go home. I think this one's finished. Yeah, it looks like it looked like it was a pump and dump, and then they decided to try to do some business, and then they just did a little bit more so they didn't feel as guilty. But I don't know. You add up 1.5 billion shares. And I'm not going to sit here and do the math, but 10 cents each, 5 cents each, you do the math. That's a few $100 million. I guess maybe, I don't know. I'd like to see their balance sheet or go back further, or their income statement go back further. I don't know why they only seem to have lost 256K. 1.79 million, so that's about 2.5, 4, $5 million of all that added together. 7 million, that's $13 million. 13 million seems to be their grand total declared loss. Maybe that's all they got from that IPO. Well, 7 million of it was on credit cards. That's got to be written off as a loss, probably spent money if it's on a credit card. So 7 million of that 13 million. So was their IPO only worth $4 million? Maybe Maybe they sold a bunch for a penny. Maybe they didn't do as good as I thought they did. But the company and the insiders and the people at the top, I'm sure they paid themselves in shares. I'm sure they gave themselves bonuses. I'm sure out of 1.5 outstanding shares, the CEO and CFO and everybody else was like, "Oh, here's a billion share, or here's 15 million shares for Christmas." Then they went and sold it for 10 cents. That's what I would have done if I was them. You gave me that many shares, I'm gonna get rid of this one. We're not selling many energy drinks. Um, I don't know. It's kind of confusing. It's kind of like they had no intention of trying. Um, they didn't even go to work. They could have spent 3 years and just hired a kid to make bottles of this stuff. This kind of thing you would just mix in your garage. Let's see who these people are, and I'll show you how they promote themselves. For a company with $700,000, they are acting like they're still in business very much. Their website, they just announced an Ooh La La lemon to be sold at Hotspot convenience stores in North and South Carolina. I don't know how many Hotspot convenience stores there are. I guess if there was a lot, they'd be bragging about that, but they're not. That looks like something real. Like they really sold some drinks, which is interesting because that's not something that happens. Maybe they just started doing this recently. Kona Gold Beverage signed a distribution agreement. What you'll find in the history of this company, this just goes back just this year, 2023. Kona Gold Beverage record revenue month, eclipsing $500,000 for the first time. Good job. High five each other. You made $500,000 in a month. It costed you a lot. Another distribution agreement, revenue projections, another distribution agreement, distribution partners. All these distribution deals, they've just been going back for 40 years. They don't seem to move the product. They just sits on the shelves or it never gets to their shelves. I don't know what happens to the whole deal. But it's a press release, and it seems to be the only thing valuable going on is to get the stock to pucker up. When you announce a press release, people go, "Oh my God, they're in convenience stores. Let's buy some of this. It's only a penny. It's only a half a penny." These are the fancy folks about our company. These are the fancy folks that run the place. Mission, they have mission values. That's nice. This guy here, he's cool. He's in a t-shirt. He's got a jacket on. He's the CEO. He probably makes some serious scratch. "I'm Kona Gold. I'm the CEO. We put hemp in energy drinks, and 5 years later, we dress really nice. I can't drink it myself, though. It's yucky." This is the CFO. She's gorgeous, obviously, well dressed. Boy, she has a good job, too. A little jealous. And this guy here is the VP of Operations. He looks shiny. Look at that hair. Man, this guy manicures his toenails, probably, and this guy looks sharp. These look like some world-class executives. Are they going to put this on their resume when they're done? Are they going to actually go out to their next job in the future and say, "I worked for Kona Gold"? Yeah. And then the people are going to Google Kona Gold and say, "Oh my God, 1/2 cent stock. You drove it into the ground. Congratulations. You went through a crap ton of money and accomplished almost nothing." I'd be a little embarrassed, actually, if I were them. But that's just me. Now, after looking at the balance sheet, it doesn't look like, after just looking at everything, it looks like the IPO went out pretty cheap. As a company, they didn't take in much cash at any point. The company was always relatively poor. In the history of the entire company, they only spent $15 million on their books. I think the real money that was made was the stock offerings and the options that were gifted to management and probably part of their payroll package. They were able to take that 1.5 billion shares. Hopefully half of it they kept on the side and they just sold it into the market and probably made mega millions doing that. That would be reflected in their own life with their own capital gains. Wouldn't be reflected on the company's books. It wouldn't be a net loss. It wouldn't be money spent. I don't even know if it would be an asset lost. It probably never existed as an asset until they sold it. And then they made the money. I think that's how they got paid. Yeah, just selling into this. Just a big wall of crap. And they brought it down. They brought it all the way down to a half a cent. Pump and dump? I don't know. It depends on how much paid promotion they did and whether the promotion was honest. If you tell the truth, you're okay, even if your product's dumb, even if nobody wants it. It's not a crime. I'd be embarrassed to put this on my resume, like I said before. I think this company is done. I think they can. I think there's probably no sense in calling the cannery and ordering cans to send to anyone. I don't think they're making any money by doing that. Seems like more sales would just be more headaches. Unless they're like making a go of it and they waited until they were completely broke to do so. Good move. You went completely broke, now you're going to make your move. But yeah, so maybe hopefully these employees don't require big salaries. They probably get decent salaries, a few $100,000 a year each, maybe $1 million, something like that for the CEO. But with the stocks, they were cleaned up for a while. Stocks aren't paying the bills these days, though. You can give these people a ton of shares, and at a half a cent, they probably would just giggle. I'm surprised they're still there. But the tide rolls on. We'll see. I say they got a month or two left in them, maybe. We'll get some more press releases, but I think we're going to get a door closing ceremony pretty soon. At some point, they're going to say, look, it costs us $12 to sell a can for $2. So let's just stop doing that. let's take our money and to the dog track because I think we have better odds. Yeah, this is terrible. The vendors are not stockholders. The $7 million that they kind of screwed out of whoever. Those are real victims. Those aren't people that were like gambling on investing on penny stocks. Like all you gamblers got pounded and they sold into and they jacked this thing up to 10 cents for them so they could make some scratch. Y'all are gambling. This is what you did. This is what you do. You know the business. Everything's fair. I mean, I think the game was rigged from day one on you, but at least you're a gambler. But those vendors, they weren't gambling. They were like, okay, here's some syrup, and okay, here's some labels, and okay, here's some cans, and okay, here's your American Express with $1 million limit, and you each can have one. And they went and maxed them out. I had company cars, probably had the whole getup. I'd like to learn more about the stocks that they received personally. I'd like to see who got what and when and how much. Because then we could do some quick math when they sold it and find out how you take a company that only had an IPO of $12 million and you somehow find a way to slam $100 million in your pocket. Could have happened. I'm a little conspiracy theorist, but the price went up to 10 cents and they had the shares. We'll see. I'll do a little bit more homework. We'll do an update video on this one. Yeah, have a great day. I'm James. This is Kona Gold Beverage. Like and subscribe. We'll do more updates later. But yeah, this is what a pump and dump looks like. It starts out with a flat line. It's worth nothing. Then all of a sudden it goes to somewhere. And there's no new sales. And then everybody realizes there's no new sales. And then it falls. And then you'll notice they're maxing out their credit line at the exact same time. And then they're issuing more shares like crazy over and over and over again. Anything they can do to get their hands on some more shares. And then eventually you're selling them for a penny a piece and issuing more doesn't make sense. 1.5 billion shares issued. It's kind of outrageous. The product's really dumb. If you thought a hemp-infused energy drink was a good idea, yeah, that was probably half your problem. But this one's going to hell in a handbasket. Anyways, thanks for your time. We'll see you on the next video.